In this video, we are going to go ahead and implement the patch functionality. So this is very similar to what we've already seen as far as the different mappings, but patch usually requires a little bit of different logic. So let me implement the controller part first. So let's go and do public response entity. And this really becomes very similar to as far as the put mapping. So let me copy this all together. And again, that's going to be returning back no content saying that it was successful. And here, the annotation is going to be, you probably could guess it, patch mapping. And then we want to extract the beer ID just like we did previously from this. And now the trick is the implementation. So we want to do beer service, say patch, and this is going to take in the beer ID and the beer object. So, and let's go ahead and implement that. See that we're going to have the one related problem. And the problem is that what we have here is we are going to get a POJO. And the rule of thumb is you're going to go ahead and if the property is null, you don't do the update. If it is null, or if it does have a value, update it. So I'm going to pause the video and show you what I mean. It's a little bit of typing to get everything done for it. I think we got about 5 different properties here. So let me pause the video and I'm going to type out the implementation of it. So I've gone through and implemented that. So you can see that we do have a number of if tests. So you want to test that beer object that's coming in to see if it does in fact have a property. You missed a bracket there. So you're going to go through and do a series of checks to see if that. So when you're doing patches, that's kind of I don't know of a way of around doing this. So you check each property on what's being passed in to see if it does have a value set. And then if it does, you go and update the persisted object, which in this case is going to be the existing object. So let's go ahead and test this now. Verify that this does in fact work as expected. So we can set these different beer values. So let's come in here, over to Postman. Let's go get our beers. And now I can do a patch. And let's do raw. I'm going to steal this object, make life a little bit easier. And in this case, set up the UPC and the quantity on hand to do 300, and let's not update any other property. So we're just going to do those 2 properties. That's going to be on the beer name of Crank. We're just changing the UPC and quantity on hand. So that gives us the patch. Go ahead and submit that. You can see that we get a 204 back. And come back and list them. There's the Crank. We can see that the UPC has been updated 222 and 300. So the update did happen correctly. Let's toggle back over to IntelliJ. So what happened there is I set the UPC, so it came through here, found that it had an object with a UPC, so it set that. The quantity on hand was also set. The other values were null in the object that was bound. So the JSON bound to a Java object by a Spring framework, those were null, so it went through there. So just from experience, when you're doing patch operations in a RESTful API, there's really not a good way around this. It can be verbose, and it's pretty rare that you implement a patch operation. It is convenience. It is handy to have when you need it. You do need it. A lot of times you don't need it. So just be aware of that. It's not something that's implemented by standard. It's more implemented when you need it. A lot of RESTful APIs do not support patch at all. Some do. Sometimes you do have a use case for it. So it always all depends. But now you do have a working example of that. And the beer controller, you can see we have patch mapping to a specific ID. And then you're going to be looking for the path variable by ID, and then also the request body, which is going to be the JSON body that is being passed into your controller method. And from there, each implementation is going to be pretty customized. So now you do have the basic tools to implement a patch operation.